10 songs are turning 66 this year. Not just any songs, the ones your parents slow danced to before you were born.
Called her to her side. She said, son, you're growing up now.
The ones still playing at every family reunion, every Sunday dinner, every late night drive where the radio knew exactly what you needed. 10 R&B and soul classics from 1960. This is why they built jukeboxes. Let's count them down.
You can smile, every smile for the man who held your hand.
Number 10, Doggin' Around, Jackie Wilson.
Don't stop, yeah!
Here's something most people don't know.
You keep me so upset.
In 1960, Brunswick Records pressed a Jackie Wilson single with 2 sides and decided Night, the A-side, was the one that mattered.
You go all nights.
They weren't completely wrong. Night was built on an aria by St. Saëns, and Jackie sang it like he'd trained for it his whole life. It peaked at number 4 on the pop chart, number 3 on the R&B. But then the B-side started climbing. The song nobody was supposed to pay attention to. The one record labels toss on the flip because they have to put something there.
Getting weak. It's not getting any stronger.
Doggin' Around hit the chart and kept going until it was sitting at number 1 on the hot R&B sides for 3 straight weeks. A B-side at number 1. You probably know that feeling. You put the most effort into the thing you thought people wanted, and they nod politely, and then walk right past it to the thing you almost didn't show them. That's what black radio stations across America did with this record in 1960. They heard Night, appreciated it, and then flipped it over and never went back. Now, Doggin' Around is a song about running around on someone who loves you. The narrator is guilty, and he knows it. And there's something almost criminal about Jackie Wilson singing it.
Times you don't make it home.
Because that voice is so warm, so smooth, so genuinely convincing, you find yourself forgiving the man before he even gets to the second verse. Wilson could move from a whisper to a full-out scream without losing a single note in between. Mr. Excitement, they called him. He earned that name every single time he stepped up to a microphone.
Don't stop, yeah!
Written by Lena Agree, the song had a groove that locked in hard, just enough swing to make you want to move, just enough soul to make you feel the weight of what's being confessed underneath.
Don't stop, yeah!
Energy and heartbreak at the same time. That's what 1960 R&B was learning to do, and doing better and better with every passing month.
Oh, I don't mind you having.
Some of y'all grew up in a house where Jackie Wilson came on and the whole room changed. You already know this is just the opening act. Number 9, A Fool in Love, Ike and Tina Turner. March 1960. Ike Turner has a session booked at Technosonic Studios in St. Louis. He's got a song called A Fool in Love, and he's got a singer scheduled to record it. A man named Art Lassiter. Art Lassiter doesn't show up. So Ike Turner has a booked studio, a written song, paid time on the clock, and no lead vocalist. Standing nearby is a young woman named Anna Mae Bullock, barely in her 20s, singing background in Ike's band, known around the St. Louis scene as Little Ann. And out of something close to desperation, Ike hands her the microphone. Recorded as a demo, he tells her. Just a placeholder. We'll fix it when Art shows. Art never showed. But that demo got into the hands of music executives at Sue Records in New York City, and they heard something in that voice that stopped everything cold. They paid Ike a handsome sum to release it officially. And when the deal was done, Ike gave Anna Mae a new name. He said Tina rhymed with Sheena, the comic book jungle queen popular in those years, and that there was power in how it sounded. Tina Turner, just like that. A Fool in Love hit number 2 on the Hot R&B Sides chart in August of 1960, number 27 on the pop chart. And that October, Tina Turner performed the song on American Bandstand for a national television audience. 9 months pregnant, she stood in front of that camera with Ike's child in her belly and sang a song that was never supposed to be hers, with a voice that was already impossible to look away from. The song itself, this raw, gospel-charged cry about surrendering everything to someone who doesn't deserve it, carries a weight now that it didn't carry in 1960. We know what that relationship eventually cost her, and the words she sang about giving yourself completely to a man who takes it, they land differently with all that knowledge sitting behind them. But in 1960, all the world heard was a voice that hadn't been there before, a voice that somehow sounded like it had always been there. And nobody who heard it could quite explain how something born from an accident became the beginning of everything. Real talk, only 9% of you are subscribed. That hurts. We're spending hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life. And if you're watching this far, you clearly care. So hit subscribe. It's free and takes 2 seconds. Now, to my subscribers, barely any of you have joined the membership. And honestly, that stings even more. You know the work we put in. You keep coming back. If these videos have ever made you feel something, if this music means something to you, join the membership. It's $1 coffee a month, and it's the only way we keep this going. Let's build this together. All right, back to it. Number 8, Stay, Maurice Williams and the Zodiacs. 1 minute and 36 seconds. That is how long this song is. Not 1 minute 50, not 2 minutes. 1 minute and 36 seconds. You could play it twice through in the time it takes most songs to get through their first chorus. And in November of 1960, this 96-second piece of music hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. To this day, it is the shortest song to ever reach number 1 in the United States, and it earns every single second it gets. Please, tell me you're gone. Maurice Williams wrote Stay when he was a teenager in Lancaster, South Carolina. It was 1955. He had a girl over, 15 years old, same age as him, and it was getting late, and her brother came to pick her up. Her parents were strict about curfew, and Maurice Williams could do nothing but watch her go. So he sat down and wrote what he would have said if words could have convinced her to linger just a little longer. He didn't think much of it at the time. 4 years later, in 1959, he and his group, the Zodiacs, needed something to fill the B-side of a single. Not the main attraction, just something to put on the other side. So he pulled out that old piece he'd written about a girl with a 10 o'clock curfew. You already know what happens to B-sides on this countdown. There was one problem before radio would touch it. A line in the original said, "Let's have another smoke," and that wasn't going to clear broadcast standards. They stripped it out, cleaned it up, and released it again. And Stay went to #1. We lost Maurice Williams in August of 2024. He was 86 years old, and even across all those decades, that song never aged a day. If anything, it sounds more honest now than it ever did. Because when you've lived a little longer, you understand that the most important things are usually the ones you almost let walk out the door.
Just a little bit longer.
Number 7, Shop Around, The Miracles. Sometime in late September 1960, Berry Gordy couldn't sleep. He had already put The Miracles' new single, Shop Around, out locally in Detroit on his Tamla label. Stations were playing it. People were hearing it. By almost any reasonable measure, it was doing well. But Gordy was lying awake, convinced the recording wasn't right. Too slow, not enough life, not the record it could be. So at 3 in the morning, Berry Gordy called Smokey Robinson and told him to get The Miracles together and come to Hitsville, USA right now. They needed to start over. Smokey Robinson thought this man had genuinely lost his mind, but they showed up. Bleary-eyed, probably half asleep, The Miracles walked into that little studio at 2648 West Grand Boulevard in Detroit and built the version of Shop Around we actually know. The one with the bounce underneath it, the one that rolls like great advice from someone who's been around long enough to mean it, written by a 20-year-old who hadn't been around that long at all. Here's what makes it richer. Smokey Robinson originally wrote Shop Around for Barrett Strong, the same Barrett Strong who just had a hit on Motown with Money, That's What I Want. Smokey thought the song fit him. Berry Gordy heard it, said no, keep it for The Miracles, and The Miracles kept it. Took it to #1 on the R&B chart for 8 straight weeks. Sold 1 million copies, Motown's first million-selling single. The record that made industry people stop calling it a little Detroit label and start paying real attention to what Berry Gordy was actually building.
She said, "Son, you're growing up now."
All of that. An empire, 6 decades of the Motown sound, a legacy that still moves through popular music today, traces back partly to a phone call made at 3 in the morning, and a refusal to let a record be anything less than what it needed to be. Some of y'all have heard Shop Around so many times you stopped actually listening to it. Put it back on this week. Sit with it. I'd bet you catch something you never noticed before. Number 6, Baby, You've Got What It Takes. Brooke Benton and Dinah Washington.
It takes a lot of kissing.
Tell me about it.
To make.
Before we talk about this record, let me tell you something that still gets me every time I think about it. This song, Baby, You've Got What It Takes, was first recorded in 1958.
To make me say I do. And
The singer who put it down first was a woman named Dorothy Pay. And Dorothy Pay happened to be Brooke Benton's sister. She cut the original version under her own name, titled it You've Got What It Takes, and it went nowhere. 2 years later, Brooke Benton walked into a studio with Dinah Washington and turned it into something else entirely.
It take more than a lifetime to prove.
What they created was easy and playful, a little flirty, a conversation between two people who understood each other completely.
The fire to melt away the snow.
You can feel the warmth in how they trade lines, the way they build off each other, like they've been finishing each other's sentences for years.
A lifetime daddy to prove that I'll be true. Nice.
Released in January 1960, Baby, You've Got What It Takes hit number 5 on the pop chart and number 1 on the R&B chart for 10 consecutive weeks.
Baby, and you got what it takes.
At the time, that was a record, the first single since Billboard unified its sales and airplay data into a single R&B chart to sit at the top spot for 10 straight weeks. Dinah Washington and Brooke Benton were nearly untouchable. They went back into the studio that spring and did it again with A Rockin' Good Way, which also hit number 1 on the R&B chart. Two entirely different kinds of artists, and somehow this is what they sounded like together.
You know you've got just a.
Dinah Washington in 1960 was at the height of something she'd been building for 20 years.
Well, now it takes more than a robin.
A woman who had been singing professionally since she was a teenager with Lionel Hampton's band, who could move through jazz, blues, gospel, and pop without ever losing herself in any of them.
It takes a lot, woman, to knock me off.
7 marriages, a personality that filled every room she entered, and a voice that could break your heart and dare you to say a word about it.
To make me say I do. And
She died December 14, 1963. She was 39 years old, an accidental overdose, and the world lost someone we were nowhere near finished hearing.
Me say I do.
and baby,
But in 1960, she was right there, at the very top, and what she and Brooke Benton made together still sounds like R&B royalty.
to make my life complete.
Go back and play it. You'll understand immediately.
What it takes because of yeah. Oh yeah.
Get my spot again, honey.
I like your style.
Number 5, Chain Gang, Sam Cooke.
That's the sound of the men working on.
Sam Cooke had just signed with RCA Victor. That mattered.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
In 1960, a black R&B artist getting full investment from one of the largest labels in the country. That was a statement about both how far the music had come and how much ground there still was to cover.
Whom I love so dear, but meanwhile, I've got to work right.
And RCA had high expectations. Cooke had his own. He came to the studio in Manhattan in January of 1960 and recorded his first sessions for the label, and they didn't satisfy him. The vocals weren't matching what he heard in his head. So he came back 3 months later and redid sections of the recording until they matched what he felt inside of it.
Gang, that's the sound.
He was that kind of artist, the kind who could hear the gap between what was captured on tape and what should have been captured, and who kept working until he closed it.
Working on the chain gang.
Chain Gang was released July 26, 1960, and the inspiration came from something Sam Cooke witnessed firsthand while on tour through the South.
Can't you hear them saying, I'm going home.
His bus came upon an actual chain gang of prisoners working along a highway in Georgia, men shackled together, doing physical labor in the heat.
Is going down. Working on the highway.
He and his brother felt something pull at them hard enough that they stopped the bus, got out, shook hands, passed out cigarettes, and then Sam drove away and couldn't stop thinking about it. The sounds of those men working, the rhythmic, collective grunt of a group of human beings doing grueling, undigified labor in the southern heat, he embedded something like it right into the arrangement.
That's the sound of the men working on
That rhythm you hear from the jump of the record, the sonic memory of what he'd witnessed, built right into the music itself.
all day long. They work so hard till the sun.
Chain Gang peaked at number 2 on both the pop and the R&B chart, kept out of the top spot by Brooke Benton on the R&B side and by Connie Francis on the pop chart. But here's the thing I want you to sit with.
Whom I love so dear, but meanwhile, I've got to work right.
Sam Cooke saw something that spoke to centuries of black suffering in America, and he did not look away from it. He turned it into music. He made people hear it in their cars, at their kitchen tables, through their radios, and they moved to it. And many of them didn't fully reckon with what they were moving to.
Gang, that's the sound.
That's a particular kind of power. Not many records have it.
Gang, that's the sound of the men.
Number 4, He Will Break Your Heart, Jerry Butler.
He don't love you.
Jerry Butler left the Impressions in 1960. He was 20 years old, going solo, needing to prove something to himself and everyone else.
He don't love you.
He co-wrote his breakthrough with a 20-year-old kid who was still in the group. That kid's name was Curtis Mayfield.
He's had so many rehearsals.
And Curtis didn't just co-write it. He played guitar on the recording and sang backing vocals behind Butler's lead.
His bow and makes his exit.
Uncredited, just there in the room, contributing the way truly gifted people sometimes do before the rest of the world has caught up to understanding exactly who they are.
The new love that you found.
Together with VJ Records producer Calvin Carter, the three of them built He Will Break Your Heart, a song from the perspective of a narrator watching a friend fall for exactly the wrong person.
If he did, he wouldn't break your.
Someone charming on the surface, unreliable underneath. The narrator can see how it ends before it's even started, and all he can do is lean in close and say, "I'm telling you right now, he will break your heart."
Like I love you.
Released in August 1960, the record hit number 7 on the pop chart and spent 7 non-consecutive weeks at number 1 on the R&B chart.
All alone. When he takes.
That deep, contained, fully inhabited baritone, not performing emotion but living inside it, earned Jerry Butler a nickname that followed him for the rest of his life.
I wish I could say, whoa.
The Iceman. Not cold, just measured, like someone who has seen enough of this world to know better than to be surprised by it. Here's the part that doesn't get said enough.
He wouldn't break your heart.
In 1975, Tony Orlando and Dawn covered this song under the title He Don't Love You, Like I Love You, and that version hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The same song, 15 years later, reached the top of the American chart in an entirely different era of popular music. We lost Jerry Butler on February 20th, 2025. He was 85 years old.
He don't love you.
And this record he made at 20, with Curtis Mayfield playing quietly behind him and his whole life still out in front of him, it still sounds like a warning from someone who genuinely cares.
He's had so many rehearsals.
You know that feeling when someone tells you something you don't want to hear because they love you enough to say it? That's what this record is.
Love you, and it never will.
Number 3, The Twist. Chubby Checker. The first thing you need to know about The Twist is that it wasn't Chubby Checker's song.
Till we tear the house down. Come on and twist.
Hank Ballard wrote it. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters recorded it in 1958, put it out as a B-side to another record.
Yeah, twist again, like the last summer.
It climbed the R&B chart. People were already doing the dance at clubs across the country. Hank Ballard was ahead of the curve, the way he so often was.
Come on, baby, let's do the twist.
Then Dick Clark needed someone to perform The Twist on American Bandstand. And for reasons that vary depending on who's telling the story, Dick Clark did not call Hank Ballard.
Who's that sign up there? Is it a bird? No!
He called a young singer from Philadelphia named Ernest Evans, who had been given the stage name Chubby Checker as a play on Fats Domino's name. Clark asked Chubby to cover the song and perform it for a national television audience, and Chubby Checker did. Note for note, he stayed remarkably close to Ballard's original. If you listen to both versions today, you'll hear just how close they are. But American Bandstand had a reach that Hank Ballard's regional R&B radio simply could not match. When those kids saw that dance performed on national television, The Twist became something bigger than a record. It became the first dance craze of the rock and roll era to cross every age group, every social background, every divide in the country. Chubby Checker's version hit number 1 on the pop chart in September 1960. Then it was re-released in late 1961. And on January 13, 1962, it hit number 1 again. It is still the only song in the history of the Billboard Hot 100 to reach number 1 in 2 completely separate chart runs.
And do the twist.
Billboard has since called it the single biggest hit song of all time, measured by chart performance.
Yeah, twist again, like the last summer.
And Hank Ballard, the man who wrote it and got there first, didn't get the bandstand slot. That's a different kind of complicated to sit with, and I'll let you decide what to do with it.
Come on, baby, let's do the twist.
But right now, I want you to think about something. You know that moment at any party, any wedding, any gathering, doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter who else is in the room, when that opening riff starts and everybody moves without thinking? That's what The Twist did to an entire country in 1960.
Take me by my little hand and go like
It's still doing it. Number 2, Will You Love Me Tomorrow? The Shirelles. The girls didn't want to record it. When producer Luther Dixon brought the Shirelles a new song by a young songwriting team named Jerry Goffin and Carole King, lead singer Shirley Owens listened to the demo and said no. It sounded too country. It didn't feel right. She had to be convinced, pushed, talked into it by Dixon himself. The person who wrote the music for that demo was Carole King. She was 18 years old. Think about that. An 18-year-old sits down and writes what will eventually be recognized as one of the great songs in American popular music history. And the group that recorded it almost walked away from it on the spot. Dixon didn't let them. They went into Bell Sound Studios in New York City and recorded it, with string arrangements and a sense of late-night vulnerability that hadn't quite been captured in pop music before. A young woman asking the question that never stops feeling urgent no matter how many years go by, when it's quiet and the night has settled in and everything you said is behind you, will you still mean it tomorrow? Not just tonight, tomorrow. Released in November 1960, Will You Love Me Tomorrow entered the Hot 100 and climbed steadily. And in early 1961, just weeks after its release, it reached number 1. Will you still love me tomorrow? The first number 1 for a girl group in the history of the Billboard Hot 100 chart. The first number 1 on the American pop charts for an all-black female vocal group, full stop. And the girls almost didn't record it. If you've ever been pushed towards something you were certain was wrong, by someone who saw something in it you couldn't yet see, and it turned out to be the best thing you ever did, you understand what happened in that studio. You understand what Shirley Owens must have felt when radio stations started playing it. When the chart position kept climbing, when an entire generation of women heard her ask that question and immediately knew exactly what she was really asking. Don Kirshner, the publisher who had signed Goffin and King, heard the demo for the first time and gave both songwriters a $10,000 advance on the spot. That kind of conviction about a song is rare. It was completely deserved. Number 1, Save the Last Dance for Me. The Drifters.
Save the last dance for me.
Doc Pomus had polio. He'd had it since he was a child.
Baby, don't you know I love you so?
And by the time he was a working songwriter in New York City, he moved through the world on crutches and eventually in a wheelchair. In 1957, he married a woman named Willie Burke, a Broadway actress, a dancer, a woman whose whole body understood music.
But don't forget who's taking you home.
And at their wedding reception, Doc Pomus sat in his chair and watched his wife dance with the other guests. Guest after guest, song after song. The woman he loved, spinning around that room, and he couldn't join her. He could only watch. He wrote the lyrics on the back of his wedding invitation that night. 3 years later, those words found a melody by his writing partner Mort Schumann, and the words found their way to the Drifters. And then the story takes its first unexpected turn.
I love you oh so much. You can
Ben E. King, the voice you hear on this record, that warm and honeyed tenor, had already left the Drifters before Save the Last Dance for Me ever came out. He had walked away from the group in May of 1960. He was heading toward a solo career that would soon give the world Stand By Me and Spanish Harlem. But his vocals were already on tape, and so the Drifters released a record led by a man who was no longer in the room.
You can smile, every smile for the man who held your hand.
And then there's Phil Spector, who was at those sessions not as a producer, but as an apprentice, learning from Jerry Leiber and Mike Stoller, the actual producers on this record.
Baby, don't you know I love you so?
You can hear what Spector was absorbing in the arrangement, the way it breathes, the way those strings carry the weight of the song. He was in that room, taking notes, while something that was going to last forever was being built around him.
So darling, save the last dance for me.
After all of that, the song went on the B-side. Atlantic Records put Nobody But Me as the A-side. Save the Last Dance for Me was the flip.
So darling, save the last dance for me.
Until Dick Clark heard the record, turned it over, and played it on American Bandstand. and it went to #1 on the pop chart for 3 non-consecutive weeks.
And in his arms you're gonna be so darling.
3 weeks at #1. B-side, written on a wedding invitation, by a man in a wheelchair who watched his wife dance with everyone but him, with a lead voice that belonged to someone who had already moved on to somewhere else.
No, that the music's fine, like sparkling wine. Go and have
If you've ever had to sit out while someone you loved was out there, fully alive in a room you couldn't quite reach, and all you could do was hold on and trust that at the end of the night, they were still coming back to you, then you already know what this song is carrying.
you go. If they ask, if you're all over.
You know exactly what Doc Pomus felt when he picked up that pen. 66 years later, the last dance in that song still belongs to you.
Can he take you home? You must tell him no. But don't